The shadow, the hidden self that controls you. You believe you are in control of your life. Carl Jung would tell you that this belief is not comforting, it is dangerous. Because the truth is not light or motivational. It is surgical. You are not controlled by what you know about yourself. You are controlled by what you refuse to know. Jung called this unseen force the shadow. And whether you acknowledge it or not, your shadow is already active. It chooses who you trust and who you instinctively dislike. It decides when you hesitate, when you lash out, when you sabotage success at the last moment. It dictates the emotions that appear out of nowhere. And the most unsettling part? You experience these actions as your own will. This is the central danger Jung exposed. The unconscious does not negotiate. It executes. If you do not consciously confront it, it does not wait for permission. The shadow is not simply darkness. It is everything in you that was denied expression. Most people assume the shadow only contains anger, envy, cruel impulses, or immoral thoughts. That assumption is incomplete and dangerously naive. The shadow also contains suppressed confidence, unexpressed ambition, natural dominance, sexual power, assertiveness, the desire to be respected, feared, or admired. From childhood, you were conditioned to survive socially. You learned what parts of you were rewarded and which were rejected. You learned that being quiet earned approval. Being agreeable avoided punishment. Being harmless meant acceptance. Anything that threatened belonging was pushed underground. Carl Jung warned, whatever is rejected from the conscious personality becomes part of the shadow. But repression is not deletion. Energy does not disappear, it transforms. What is not lived consciously is lived unconsciously. The shadow does not stay buried. It leaks. It distorts. It erupts. This is why people who appear calm suddenly explode. Why passive individuals become cruel under pressure. Why those who claim to hate conflict unconsciously create it. The shadow seeks expression, and if denied a voice, it chooses destruction. This is not moral failure. It is psychological inevitability. Every time you say, "That's not who I am. I would never do that. I'm not that kind of person," you are strengthening the shadow. Because Jung understood a brutal truth. The psyche seeks wholeness, not goodness. When your conscious identity becomes too narrow, the unconscious compensates. That compensation looks like procrastination right before success. Choosing emotionally unavailable partners. Ruining peace just when life stabilizes. Feeling guilt or anxiety without a clear cause. Acting against your own stated goals. This is not weakness. It is inner correction. Your unconscious is rebelling against the lie you are living. Jung believed self-sabotage is not fear. It is resistance. If your conscious persona is too fake, too restrained, too small, the shadow revolts. You say you want success, but delay action. You say you want intimacy, but avoid vulnerability. You say you want peace, but create chaos. Why? Because the shadow refuses to support a life that betrays your authentic nature. It would rather destroy the false version of you than let it win. The traits that trigger the strongest emotional reactions in you are often shadow traits. If arrogance enrages you, ask why. If laziness disgusts you, ask why. If manipulation terrifies you, ask why. This does not mean you are these traits. It means they exist unconsciously within you. Projection allows the shadow to remain hidden. Instead of saying, "This is in me," the psyche says, "This is them." Moral outrage becomes addictive. It creates the illusion of superiority. It means they exist unconsciously within you. Projection allows the shadow to remain hidden. Instead of saying, "This is in me," the psyche says, "This is them." Moral outrage becomes addictive. It creates the illusion of superiority. And that illusion keeps you unconscious. Those who identify exclusively as good are the most dangerous. Because their shadow is entirely unconscious. A person who knows they are capable of cruelty controls it. A person who believes they are incapable of cruelty becomes it. The shadow does not need permission. It only needs denial. Jung never taught shadow suppression. He taught integration. Integration means acknowledging your capacity for aggression, accepting selfish thoughts without acting blindly, recognizing dominance without abusing it, owning darkness without letting it control you. This does not make you dangerous to others. It makes you immune to manipulation. Because once you know your shadow, no one can weaponize it against you. That is psychological sovereignty. When shadow integration begins, you stop craving validation. You stop fearing judgment. You stop lying to yourself. You respond instead of react. You become calm, not passive. Assertive, not aggressive. True confidence does not come from positivity. It comes from self-knowledge. Shadow work feels frightening because it dismantles the false identity you've been hiding behind. But on the other side of that fear is clarity, stability, power without noise, control without force. You are no longer ruled by impulses you don't understand. You are no longer controlled by what hides in the dark. And this is only the beginning. Projection. Why other people control your emotions. There is a disturbing reason certain people get under your skin instantly. It is not their tone. It is not their words. It is not even what they did. Carl Jung would tell you something far more unsettling. They touched something inside you that you refused to see. That reaction, the sudden anger, attraction, disgust, obsession, is not about them. It is projection. And projection is one of the most dangerous psychological mechanisms ever discovered, because it allows other people to control you without saying a word. Projection is not metaphorical or poetic. It is a survival mechanism built into the unconscious. Carl Jung defined projection simply. Everything unconscious seeks expression outside. When you deny parts of yourself, your aggression, desire, jealousy, ambition, assertiveness, the psyche cannot hold them internally. So it exports them onto coworkers, onto friends, onto lovers, onto enemies. This is why you don't just dislike some people. You react to them physically and emotionally. Your heart rate spikes, muscles tighten, thoughts spiral uncontrollably. This is not coincidence. This is unconscious possession. Ask yourself carefully, why does one insult roll off your back, while another keeps you awake at night? Why can 10 people say the same thing, but only one devastates you? Because only one hit your shadow. Jung uncovered this brutal law. If someone irritates you, they are revealing something unhealed in you. The stronger the emotional reaction, the deeper the projection. If arrogance enrages you, there is unclaimed power inside you. If laziness disgusts you, there is suppressed rest, freedom, or rebellion inside you. If manipulation terrifies you, there is denied strategic instinct or assertiveness inside you. The unconscious recognizes itself instantly, and it reacts before logic arrives. Projection doesn't just create hatred. It creates obsession. It creates longing. It creates that inexplicable pull, the feeling of they complete me. Carl Jung called this anima and animus projection. You are not truly falling in love with them. You are falling in love with parts of yourself that you have not integrated. Confidence you refuse to claim. Strength you suppress to be socially accepted. Creativity you abandoned for approval. Freedom you are afraid to wield. Your psyche says, if you won't own it, I'll put it in them instead. This is why relationships feel intoxicating, and why they feel devastating when the illusion collapses. When reality does not match the projection, it feels like betrayal. But it was never about them. It was always about you avoiding yourself. Here's the hidden danger. Anyone who understands projection can control you effortlessly. All they need to do is embody your denied traits. Trigger your emotional reflex. Stay calm while you spiral. The moment you react emotionally, you lose leverage. Carl Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That toxic person who always gets a reaction out of you, they are not powerful. Your unconscious is unguarded. Every reaction is a lesson for them. Every spike of anger, jealousy, or obsession teaches them how to pull your strings again. The shadow thrives on projection because it avoids responsibility. Instead of saying, this is in me, you say, this is happening to me. Instead of mastering your aggression, you fear aggressive people. Instead of owning your ambition, you envy ambitious people. Instead of integrating your darkness, you moralize against it. Projection is the shadow's way of running your life without your permission. Jung believed modern humans suffer not from evil, but from unconsciousness. And unconscious people are predictable. Predictable people are controllable. Carl Jung's solution is simple, but brutal. When someone triggers you, do not ask, what did they do? Ask, what part of me did this wake up? This single question collapses projection instantly. Emotional charge weakens. Obsession fades. Manipulation fails. You stop reacting. You regain sovereignty. You become untouchable by external triggers. Projection feels comfortable. It allows you to feel righteous, superior, and innocent. But innocence comes at a cost: awareness. Most people would rather be morally comfortable than psychologically free. That's why conflicts repeat. Different boss, different partner, same unresolved shadow dynamics. Until you bring the unconscious to light, life remains a series of projections. And every projection is another chain around your mind. The next time you feel explosive anger, irrational attraction, or sudden jealousy, pause. Identify the trigger. Ask the shadow, what is this trying to tell me about myself? This is the beginning of true self-sovereignty. Projection is not a curse, it is a map. It points you to the exact traits you need to integrate. Shadow integration and projection mastery are the twin pillars of psychological freedom. The persona, the mask you wear, and why it destroys you. You look in the mirror every morning. You see a face. You see eyes. You see lips. But how much of what you see is really you? Carl Jung called this the persona. It is the mask you wear to survive in society. The smile you force for your boss. The laugh you fake around family. The patience you feign for friends. At first glance, it seems harmless, functional, even necessary. But here's the terrifying truth. The longer you live through your persona, the further you drift from your true self. The mask becomes permanent. The actor becomes the character. And soon, you cannot tell where you end and where the world begins. Think about it. The world rewards conformity. Smile at the right moment, and you are praised as charming. Nod even when you disagree, and you are labeled cooperative. Hide anger, ambition, or desire, and you are seen as polite, civilized, professional. The persona appears socially beneficial, but Carl Jung warned, every performance comes with a cost. The more you adapt to external expectations, the more the mask hardens. You are celebrated for who you pretend to be, not for who you truly are. You may be living someone else's life while believing it is your own. The persona becomes a prison disguised as a uniform. Every moment you play a role, a part of you is suppressed. The ambition you hide festers. The creativity you stifle turns into resentment. The anger you suppress becomes paranoia. And then the projection begins again. You project your suppressed anger onto others. You envy the success you refuse to pursue. You fear others' power because you deny your own. This is the dark cycle of persona and shadow. Shadow equals the parts of you refuse to accept. Persona equals the mask you use to hide the shadow. They are in constant war. Until you reconcile them, your life remains fragmented, anxious, and externally controlled. Picture this. A mid-level executive. Always polite. Always agreeable. Everyone loves him. Clients trust him. Colleagues praise him. He is the perfect persona. But at home, anxiety, insomnia, rage barely contained. The ambition he hides at work bursts in secret online rants. The creativity he stifled manifests in self-destructive habits. The longer the mask is worn, the heavier the shadow grows. Eventually, the shadow erupts, often at the worst possible time. The persona protects in public but destroys in private. The persona feels safe because it earns approval. But safety is an illusion. Emotional numbness, constantly performing dulls your ability to feel deeply. Manipulability, people exploit your predictable mask. Shadow eruptions, suppressed parts explode in rage, addiction, or self-sabotage. Relationship erosion, others fall in love with the mask, not your soul. Living entirely in the persona is slow psychological death. You survive externally, but internally, you rot. The persona is not the enemy. It is a survival tool. The enemy is unconscious reliance on it. To regain control, notice the mask. When are you performing? When are you authentic? Name the suppression. What parts of you are hidden to please someone else? Small acts of rebellion. Speak a truth quietly. Express a desire unapologetically. Integration. Allow the shadow and persona to coexist. Make the mask flexible, not permanent. Until the unconscious is integrated with consciousness, the persona dominates. And you remain fragmented, anxious, and manipulated by others' expectations. Living in a persona for too long doesn't just hurt you. It makes you predictable and exploitable. Predictable patterns. Others learn exactly how to push your buttons. Energy leakage. You spend mental energy performing, leaving little for strategic thinking. Delayed shadow eruptions. Suppression eventually backfires in extreme emotional responses. Psychologically, the persona keeps you safe in the short term, but ensures vulnerability in the long term. It is a social survival mechanism with a hidden cost. Control over your mind is surrendered to unconscious processes. A designer constantly masks their creativity to meet corporate standards. Colleagues admire their team player attitude. Clients praise their reliability. Internally, however, ideas are suppressed. Passion wanes. Anger simmers. Eventually, they quit impulsively, burn bridges, or sabotage a project. The persona provided praise, but it delayed the shadow's eruption, creating a larger crisis later. Strategies for sustainable integration. Awareness over judgment. Recognize when you are performing without self-criticism. Micro-expressions of authenticity. Small, consistent acts of truth-telling reduce shadow tension. Reflective journaling. Identify daily moments of mask-wearing and suppressed emotions. Shadow mapping. Note traits you fear expressing publicly. Plan controlled integration. Flexible persona. Let your mask serve you, not define you. Goal. A persona that is adaptive, not imprisoning. A shadow that is acknowledged, not explosive. The persona is necessary. Society rewards it. It allows survival and function, but over-reliance on it destroys internal coherence. Emotional freedom and true power. By observing your persona, naming suppressed traits, and gradually integrating your shadow, you reclaim authenticity, emotional sovereignty, psychological resilience, freedom from external manipulation. The mask is no longer a prison. It becomes a tool under your control. The shadow, your hidden darkness and secret power. Deep inside your mind, there is a part of you you refuse to acknowledge. A part you hide, a part you deny. Carl Jung called this the shadow. It is your anger, your greed, your envy, your primal urges. The traits society taught you are bad, immoral, or unacceptable. The terrifying truth? You are ruled by the shadow whether you know it or not. Every decision, every impulse, every irrational fear originates there. Most people think darkness lives outside themselves. They blame coworkers, partners, or society for frustration, betrayal, or failure. But the real danger is inside. The shadow whispers doubts that stop you from acting. It pushes you to sabotage relationships. It makes you project hatred onto anyone who threatens your ego. It fuels jealousy, greed, pride, obsession. Ignoring the shadow is like leaving a wild predator locked in your basement. It's quiet, until one day it escapes and wreaks havoc. Imagine someone calm, rational, collected, but inside, envy of colleagues who succeed faster, anger toward a sibling who always gets attention, lust for control over others. This shadow sits quietly until a minor insult triggers it. Suddenly, words lash out like venom. Minor jealousy becomes sabotage. Small anger turns into public humiliation. The shadow thrives in secrecy. Unacknowledged, it controls you from behind the scenes. Carl Jung warned, failing to confront the shadow does not eliminate it. It enslaves you. The shadow is subtle. It doesn't always appear as rage, envy, or cruelty. Often, it masquerades as virtue. Overworking to prove worth, insecurity, controlling others under love, fear, excessive kindness, self-hatred, criticism of others, projection. You think you are rational. You think you are kind. But until you look at the shadow in the mirror, you are enslaved by hidden motives you do not understand. Here's the exciting part. The shadow is not just darkness. It is latent power. Ambition you hide becomes unstoppable when acknowledged. Anger you suppress becomes clarity and courage. Desire you deny becomes focus and drive. Carl Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Your hidden darkness contains your ultimate potential if you dare to confront it. Step-by-step shadow integration. Identify, journal impulses, jealousy, envy, and hidden desires. Do not judge them. Observe. Accept, say, "This is part of me. I cannot erase it, but I can understand it." Project consciously. Channel anger into productivity. Transform jealousy into motivation. Let your shadow fuel creation, not destruction. Shadow allies. Notice patterns in others. When someone triggers envy or rage, often it's your shadow reacting. Awareness turns automatic reactions into choice. People who master their shadow are almost impossible to manipulate. They rarely envy. They don't succumb to guilt easily. They react strategically instead of impulsively. Why? Because they own their darkness. They acknowledge it. They integrate it. And then they use it as a tool, not a chain. Imagine someone quiet, agreeable, and seemingly harmless at work. Inside, deep competitiveness, fear of being ignored, desire for recognition. If unchecked, they may sabotage colleagues subtly, or self-sabotage by overworking in the wrong areas. But with shadow integration, competitiveness becomes focus, fear becomes strategic caution, desire for recognition motivates excellence, not harm. The shadow becomes a lever, not a curse. If you feel a twinge of discomfort watching this, that's normal and good. Like this video if you've ever felt hidden anger you can't explain. Comment below, what part of yourself are you afraid to admit? Subscribe, because these psychological strategies are rarely shared publicly. The shadow is always waiting. Ignoring it guarantees it will act, often when you least expect it. Shadow triggers projection. The more you deny your darkness, the more you see it in others. Shadow fuels self-sabotage. Every unacknowledged desire or fear eventually manifests externally. Shadow is secret energy. The energy you suppress is available for mastery once integrated. Integration is not suppression. Control is not denial. Power is acceptance and conscious application. The shadow is dangerous, but it is also your greatest hidden resource. Deny it, and it destroys you unconsciously. Accept it, and it transforms you consciously. Shadow mastery equals emotional sovereignty. Shadow mastery equals psychological freedom. Shadow mastery equals secret power no one can steal. Archetypes, the invisible roles that control you. Have you ever noticed how some people enter a room and immediately command attention, while others are overlooked, ignored, or subtly manipulated no matter how hard they try? Carl Jung had the answer. Archetypes. These are unconscious psychological roles living inside you. They are invisible puppeteers shaping your thoughts, guiding your decisions, influencing your desires, and orchestrating your interactions with the world. Here's the brutal truth. If you don't understand your archetypes, you are being controlled by them. What are archetypes? Archetypes are primordial patterns embedded in the human psyche, recurring across myths, stories, and cultures. They are not just personality traits. They are forces that drive behavior. The hero takes risks, faces challenges, seeks validation through achievement. The rebel constantly challenges authority, disrupts rules, feels trapped by limitations. The caregiver sacrifices themselves for others, often to their own detriment. The trickster manipulates situations, hides intentions, thrives in chaos. The ruler organizes, commands, exerts authority. The sage observes, reflects, and guides with wisdom. These archetypes are active whether you are aware of them or not. They shape how you respond to conflict, how you form relationships, how you attract allies or enemies, and how you handle power. They can decide whether you lead or follow, whether you thrive or burn out. The danger of unconscious archetype domination. Most people are trapped in one dominant archetype without realizing it. That's where the danger lies. Consider the hero trapped in expectations. A man works late every night, never says no, sacrifices sleep, health, and relationships, all to maintain the image of success. The hero archetype inside him craves achievement and recognition. At first, people admire him, but slowly burnout sets in. Resentment grows, and manipulative colleagues exploit his devotion. The problem isn't the people around him. It's the archetype running his life unconsciously. You are following a script written by your psyche, not by choice. Recognizing archetypes in others is power. The trickster at work subtly sabotages your projects, while smiling in your face. The caregiver friend seems kind, but secretly manipulates guilt to control your time and energy. The rebel sibling pushes boundaries, not to grow, but to test your limits and drain your patience. When you recognize these patterns, you stop being a victim. You see the game, predict moves, and reclaim control. Mastering your archetypes begins with observation. Identify your dominant patterns. Notice who you naturally gravitate toward. how you respond under stress, which archetype drives your decisions. Integrate your archetype. Don't fight it. Understand it. Embrace it. And learn to channel it productively. Switch roles strategically. Some situations require the hero. Others require the sage. Flexibility is mastery. Influence others. Once you understand their archetypes, you can predict reactions, speak their unconscious language, and guide outcomes without confrontation or overt manipulation. Example: the caregiver versus the hero. The caregiver sacrifices endlessly. The hero tries to rescue. Without awareness, the caregiver exploits the hero's desire to save, leaving the hero drained, guilty, and frustrated. With awareness, the hero recognizes the pattern, steps back, protects their energy, maintains sovereignty without confrontation. Shadow dynamics exist in every archetype. The hero can become a martyr, burning out in pursuit of validation. The caregiver can turn codependent or use guilt unconsciously to manipulate. The rebel can descend into chaos or self-sabotage. The trickster can become deceptive or manipulative. The ruler can become controlling or tyrannical. The sage can become detached or inactive. Mastery is not avoiding the shadow. It is recognizing it, integrating it, and using it consciously. Only then can you prevent your unconscious archetype from enslaving you. The ultimate secret of archetypes. Archetypes are tools, not enemies. When you integrate your shadow and understand your archetypes, you stop reacting unconsciously. You stop over-explaining, overcompensating, or seeking validation. You influence outcomes without manipulation and operate with psychological gravity. People instinctively respect you, follow you, or step aside. Carl Jung didn't write psychology textbooks to entertain. He gave us a manual for mental sovereignty. Once you understand archetypes, you no longer live as a victim. You begin to design your life, respond with precision, and act with the confidence of someone who knows the rules of the hidden game. Dreams and the subconscious, unlocking your inner code. Have you ever woken up from a dream that left you shaken, exhilarated, or confused, and wondered what it really meant? Carl Jung called dreams the royal road to the unconscious. He believed the messages hidden in your dreams are not random. They are instructions, warnings, strategies from the deepest parts of your mind, the parts even you refuse to admit exist. Here's the shocking truth. Your dreams know things about you that even you cannot see. Your subconscious is like a silent general commanding an army. It controls 95% of your decisions, reactions, and impulses, all while your conscious mind believes it is in charge. Every dream is a report, every symbol is a memo, and every recurring nightmare or repeating pattern is your psyche attempting to communicate vital information about survival, growth, and personal strategy. Falling repeatedly in dreams. Your subconscious is warning about loss of control, insecurity, or fear of failure. Being chased, you are avoiding something crucial in life. An opportunity, a confrontation, a decision, and your mind is urging you to face it. Teeth falling out. It's not vanity. It's a fear of powerlessness or vulnerability. Your subconscious is alerting you to situations where your authority or influence may be undermined. Here's the dark psychology insight. Ignoring these messages allows your subconscious to sabotage your conscious goals. Patterns persist, choices repeat, and life feels like it is on autopilot. Jung didn't see dreams merely as insight. He saw them as tools for influence and foresight. Archetypes appear in dreams. The shadow manifests as villains, enemies, or hidden fears. The hero appears as you facing trials or tests. The trickster emerges as deception, chaos, or unpredictability. The caregiver appears as guidance or support you rely on, sometimes deceptively. By decoding these symbols, you gain clarity on your unconscious motives, desires, and fears. This knowledge gives you precise control over your actions and responses in the waking world. For example, you dream that a colleague is betraying you, even though nothing has happened yet. By analyzing the dream, you notice subtle manipulative behaviors you previously ignored. Acting strategically in advance allows you to avoid conflict, protect your position, and preempt manipulation. This is not fantasy. This is psychological foresight in action. Most people are slaves to unconscious patterns, but you can learn to speak the language of your subconscious. Record every dream in a dream journal. Your subconscious thrives on consistency and observation. Identify archetypes and recurring symbols. Ask, who am I in this dream? Who are the other players? What hidden story is unfolding? Integrate insights into waking life. Avoidance, aggression, or fear in dreams often mirrors patterns in your relationships, career, and personal decisions. Once recognized, you can anticipate reactions, set boundaries, and influence outcomes. Story example: the professional manipulator. Alex dreams weekly of being trapped in a maze, blocked by a smiling stranger. Initially, he ignores it. In waking life, a coworker begins subtly undermining him, always smiling innocently, a real-life trickster archetype. By analyzing his dreams, Alex spots the pattern early, sets boundaries, redirects interactions, and avoids manipulation traps. Without dream insight, he would have been frustrated, drained, and repeatedly sabotaged. Dreams acted as an early warning system. Every dream also reveals the shadow, the part of yourself you refuse to acknowledge. Are you jealous, greedy, or selfish? Do you avoid responsibility or confrontations? Are you self-sabotaging without realizing it? Ignoring your shadow leads to repeated failures, toxic relationships, and wasted potential. Integrating it turns weaknesses into strength, predicts triggers before they explode, and allows you to influence others by controlling your reactions, rather than reacting blindly. Practical steps to master dreams and subconscious insight. Record every dream immediately upon waking. Patterns emerge over time. Decode archetypes and symbols. Who plays which role? What story is unfolding? Reflect on recurring themes. What patterns exist in your waking life that match the dream? Strategize. Use insights to anticipate challenges, influence outcomes, and protect your energy. Integrate shadow elements revealed in dreams. Acknowledge fears, desires, or impulses, and channel them consciously. Your subconscious is trying to whisper secrets to you right now. YW checkmark like this video if you've ever had a recurring dream you couldn't explain. YW checkmark comment below. What's the strangest dream you've ever had? And what do you think it meant? YW checkmark subscribe now, because the next module dives into the psychology of influence and persuasion, revealing the hidden levers of human behavior Jung uncovered. The psychology of influence, persuade and command without words. Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and instantly command attention, while others are ignored no matter how hard they try? Carl Jung understood the subtle currents of human behavior. He knew that influence is not about shouting, arguing, or convincing. It is about tapping into the hidden architecture of the human psyche. The shocking truth: words are overrated. Most influence is invisible, nonverbal, and strategic. And if you ignore this, you are being manipulated before you even realize it. Influence is like a chess game. Every gesture, every glance, every pause carries meaning. Humans are wired to respond to subtle cues, archetypes, and unconscious signals. Some people naturally exploit this. Others fall prey. Key elements of invisible influence. Posture. A straight, calm posture signals dominance, confidence, and stability. Slouched or restless movements signal uncertainty before you speak a word. Eye contact. Holding eyes for just a fraction longer than usual creates a sense of control, focus, and presence. Avoiding eye contact signals submission. Timing. Pausing before responding makes your words carry weight. Silence creates space for authority and strategic thought. Dark psychology insight. People obey the perceived power of your mind before your words even matter. Most persuasion techniques fail because they focus on what you say, not who you are perceived to be. Project the archetype you want others to follow. The sage commands respect with calm wisdom. The king or queen commands obedience with presence and decisiveness. The magician creates fascination by revealing just enough to stir curiosity. Mirror the unconscious desires of others. People are drawn to the reflection of their own ambitions, fears, and values. Subtly reflecting these creates alignment without effort. Control your energy before your words. Even a perfect argument fail if your inner state radiates insecurity. Master your energy, and others subconsciously defer to you. Story example: the boardroom strategist. Imagine Sarah, a rising executive. Her colleagues shout to get attention during meetings. Sarah rarely speaks. When she does, she pauses deliberately before answering, holds steady eye contact, mirrors subtle gestures of decision makers. The result? Her ideas are implemented without debate. Her presence commands authority. Others scramble to align with her vision. This is Jungian influence in action, silent, subtle, and unstoppable. Tactical dark psychology moves. The pause of power, wait before answering questions or responding to criticism. Silence creates psychological discomfort. It forces others to fill the space, often with concessions. The shadow strategy, reveal hints of hidden depth or capability without explaining. The unknown fosters fascination and unconscious respect. The emotional mirror, reflect their feelings subtly. People feel understood without realizing they are aligning with you. Agree and amplify. Agree with a criticism or concern, then subtly exaggerate it to highlight absurdity, making your own position seem reasonable. The strategic exit, leave conversations or meetings before the energy fades. Absence increases your perceived value and influence. Every conversation is a chance to assert invisible control. Step by step. Observe first. Watch for archetypes, triggers, and motives. Position yourself mentally. Decide the role you want to occupy: observer, influencer, or strategist. Act subtly. Posture, tone, gestures, and timing communicate far more than words. Respond strategically. Minimal words, maximal influence. Exit with presence. Leave before energy dissipates. Creating psychological value through absence. True influence is psychological leverage. It is understanding the unseen forces shaping behavior and aligning them with your will, without coercion or confrontation. Remember, people do not remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel, consciously and unconsciously. By mastering archetypes, shadows, and nonverbal cues, you control perception and subtly shape outcomes. Advanced applications. Negotiations. Use silence, mirroring, and strategic pauses to gain concessions without pressure. Leadership. Project calm, confidence, and presence to inspire alignment and loyalty unconsciously. Social interactions. Subtly reflect the emotional state of others to increase trust, rapport, and influence. Conflict resolution. Control your energy and posture first. Words are secondary. Influence is less about others and more about your mastery of self. If you've been watching closely, you're beginning to understand the unseen power of influence. YW checkmark like this video if you've ever been amazed by someone who controls the room silently. YW checkmark comment below. Which nonverbal tactic do you want to master first? YW checkmark subscribe now. The next module will show how to turn these secrets into protection, dominance, and personal sovereignty. The final secret, the silent authority. Influence is less about arguing, persuading, or proving. It is about projecting certainty, presence, and controlled energy. When you master archetypes, shadows, nonverbal cues, subtle strategic pauses, you become untouchable in social dynamics. You will never need to argue to win. You will never need to beg for respect. You will project certainty that compels alignment, without force, without explanation, without confrontation. This is the ultimate Jungian mastery. Influence without words, command without conflict, and authority without aggression. Conclusion: master Jungian psychology for influence and control. Now that we've explored the 10 psychology secrets from Carl Jung, it's time to step back and see the bigger picture. This isn't theory. This isn't abstract psychology. This is practical, actionable mastery of the human mind. These secrets are the tools of the truly powerful. The ability to understand yourself, anticipate behavior, influence others, and protect your energy. Most people live in a reactive loop, reacting to events, hoping others understand them, begging for respect or approval. But by applying these Jungian secrets, you flip the script entirely. You stop being reactive. You start being strategic, deliberate, and untouchable. Carl Jung taught that every human carries archetypes, shadows, and projections. These invisible forces silently guide decisions, desires, and behavior. When you truly understand them, you gain clarity, see the real motives behind people's actions, Stop being misled by appearances. Protection. Avoid manipulation and energy drains. Guard your mind, emotions, and time. Authority. Command respect naturally, without aggression, explanation, or justification. Invisible influence. Turn silence, observation, and presence into psychological leverage. This isn't just for psychologists or philosophers. It works in relationships, business, social settings, and every interaction you have. Here's how to turn Jungian psychology into real-world mastery. Shadow work. Accept your dark side so others cannot exploit it. Self-awareness is your armor. Archetype recognition. Identify the hidden roles people play. Align with or defend against them strategically. Dream interpretation. Your subconscious communicates truths through dreams. Use them to anticipate decisions and uncover hidden patterns. Nonverbal power. Posture, tone, timing. Master these silent weapons to influence without a word. Emotional mastery. Control your reactions. Never give energy to chaos, manipulation, or envy. The mirror effect. Reflect desires, fears, and unspoken ambitions subtly to guide behavior and gain alignment. Selective engagement. Only invest your time and energy in people who match your goals, values, and vision. Silent authority. Presence and confidence speak louder than explanations. Let others feel your power before you say a word. Cognitive shadow manipulation. Recognize projections and unconscious triggers in others. Never take them personally. Strategic detachment. Step back when necessary. Influence through observation, timing, and subtle action, not exhaustion. Combine these strategies, and you stop being a victim of circumstance. You stop being manipulated unconsciously. You become the one shaping your environment. This is your call to take control of your mind and life. White heavy checkmark subscribe. Don't miss the next video where we dive deeper into shadow mastery, influence, and untouchable psychological power. White heavy checkmark like. If this video revealed the invisible forces controlling human behavior, show it. White heavy checkmark comment. Which of these 10 secrets will you apply first? Your answer reflects your subconscious priorities. White heavy checkmark share. Help someone else recognize the hidden forces shaping their reality. Knowledge is power. Only the right people deserve it. Jung didn't just study the mind to understand it. He studied it to master it. Every thought, every emotion, every unconscious pattern, even your darkest desires, can become your ally if you know the rules. This is your moment. Stop reacting. Start influencing. Stop being controlled by others. Take ownership of your life. You are no longer just a participant. You are the strategist, the observer, the unseen force shaping every interaction.